Howdy Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. Today I am here for another video, but before I do that, let me just remind you to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and just share this video with a couple of friends of yours. And this video is sponsored by Fitness Solutions. I always keep forgetting to say their name, but that's mostly because they don't pay me. But otherwise, let's begin the video. So this video actually wasn't like meant to happen. It's kind of a funny story. You see, if you follow my channel, then you'd have known I did my top 10 most cherished childhood live action shows, and I did my top 10 most cherished childhood animated shows. However, due to copyright issues, I wasn't allowed to post it online, so I had to scrap the whole thing. However, I did come up with another solution. This solution was my top 10 most cherished animated movies. I realized this would be a topic that people will talk about more than TV shows, although I did feel like TV shows was like, well, it was more comfortable, and on top of that, a lot more people would not expect it, but I guess I'll have to go with the animated route. So these are my top 10 most cherished animated movies from my childhood. If your list is like mine, then good. If it's not, then please leave your list down below. I really want to hear your opinion. But remember, this is my list. Don't take it seriously. Don't be offended by the choices I make here. But otherwise, let's begin. Coming in at number 10, we have A Bug's Life. Now, granted, this isn't my favorite Pixar film, and I do find it kind of boring. Even as a kid, I did kind of find it boring, but something about it always made me come back and watch it. Something about this movie always made me come back to just watch it and enjoy it. And I don't know why, but I kind of thought like they were hinting to a sequel at the end. That was just my imagination running. But I did like this in film. It was kind of enjoyable, but overall, now that I look back on it, kind of boring. Oh boy, I am going to get so much hate for this one. Shrek the Third. Yes, I liked Shrek the Third. Shrek 2 is obviously the superior film in my mind. It's like the best Shrek movie, but when I was a kid, I didn't see it that way. Shrek the Third just, I don't know why, it just roped me in. I thought it like had a cool, interesting story, which it did. It did continue the Shrek line, but like, oh boy, the final product was not good. My childhood mind just wanted to enjoy this film. I really did want to enjoy this film. And in the end, I did kind of fool myself into liking it. I mean, Shrek the Third, I mean, it's not as bad as I do remember it, but it was a nice childhood movie that there were other Shrek films I enjoyed, but I don't know, this one just stuck with me for some reason. So for that reason, it's on this list. At number 8, we have Hercules. I do not regret my choice here. Some people say that they like other films of the Renaissance, such as like Hunchback of Notre Dame or Pocahontas, but honestly, I liked Hercules, man. It had a nice, interesting story that roped me in, and the songs were just so catchy. I remember all the songs up to this day. They were just so good, and I loved them all. And like, people say that the live action Hercules is the only Hercules, but bro, I feel like this film is just underrated. More people should watch this and definitely check it out in your own free time. Honestly, it's such a good show. It's got a good movie. Really. A lot of people hated Monsters University, but Monsters Inc. takes the cake. This movie was just so good. It had such a nice, original, heartwarming story. It just delved into the fact, like, it just answered the question, what do kids feel is on the other side of their closet? It just was such a nice thing to imagine. Like, when the lights are off, how do kids imagine it? And it's how Pixar has such a creative way of doing things. Monsters Inc. was just a nice example of this. I didn't get scared of monsters, but I found the story to be heartwarming. I loved Boo. She was the cutest character. Everything about this movie was just great. I loved Sally. I loved Mike. Everyone in this movie just felt like they had their own part to do. It felt so original and so good. And I just feel like if you're ever showing your kid this, please do. It's a really good movie. I sensed a great disturbance in the force. Like, half of my subscribers just quit on me. Reason being, I liked Shark Tale. Bam! Yes, I will admit, I did like Shark Tale when I was young. I loved it. It was one of my favorite animated films ever. Shark Tale was just so good, man. But now that I look about it, it is one of the most rubbish films I have ever watched. The story is bad. The jokes are horrible. The racism is just rich here. And everything about this movie sucked. But my childhood mind just went off with this film. It was fish. It was underwater. I loved how the characters interacted, even though it was in the most cheesy, cliche way possible. Oh, I loved this movie as a kid, but looking on it now, I hate it with every bone in my body. So while I stop you from showing your kids Shark Tale, what I would like to show you is Happy Feet. The songs here are catchy. I mean, they're not really like original songs. They're more like, you know, licensed songs, but they really are good and they do fit the mood they want in. And it really does like introduce a new way to tap dancing. I feel like maybe the reason this was made was because tap dancing wasn't as recognized. So I like the tribute to tap dancing. I loved the chase scenes in this movie. Granted, there were only like a few, but some of the underwater scenes were just great. And for its time and up to now, the animation still holds up. It looks so good. Look how realistic these penguins are. Look at the ice. Look at the baby penguins, man. This movie was just so rich in animation. Like, it was well past its time. It deserved that Oscar, man. Happy Feet was a really good movie. The songs can stick with you. The jokes are clever, and honestly, they like had an environmental message towards the end of the movie. And I feel like, even though it was kind of forced, they kind of handled it in a good way, and that's something you don't see in a lot of animated movies. So yeah, show this to your kid. They might want to do tap dancing, and really this is the film to motivate them. So show this to your kid. It's a good movie, really has great messages in it, and I feel like all in all, this movie just doesn't get the respect it deserves. Yep, and yep. Well, I consider Kung Fu Panda 3 to be like my favorite in the franchise, mostly because if you follow my channel, you know I like endings. So that was kind of like my favorite for a long time. But before then, Kung Fu Panda 1 was just such a good movie. Even though it was like the cliche hero's journey, they handled it in such a good way. The concept was nice, everything about it was great, and I can't imagine like not having you see this movie and gain like just feeling good when you come out of it. You feel good when you get out of this movie. This movie just flows so naturally. All the characters are likable, and while Poe is just like the best, man. Honestly, I love this movie, and I just loved it as a kid. My kid self just wanted to watch it all the time on weekends. The Kung Fu Panda was just so good. Honestly, show your kid this, show yourself this. It's such a ridiculous concept, but they make it work on so many levels. We have heartfelt moments, and they do have a good message. I still remember the message at the end of the film up to this day. I'm not gonna spoil it for you because I want you to watch this movie. Go ahead and see it. You know, Pixar's first movie ever just so happened to be my number 3 favorite movie on this list. Toy Story. I just remember when I was a kid, I loved this movie where toys come to life when you're outside the room. It's basically just every child's dream. I mean, I even remember when I was a kid, I would leave my toys on the bed, I would leave the room, but then I would still look through the people to see if they still come alive. This movie just was so enriching. It had such nice drama in it. The characters were so likable. The story was original and interesting. Everything about this movie was just original and amazing. Like, true, this Toy Story 4 coming out this year, and I do still consider Toy Story 3 to be the best, but wow, I loved this movie as a kid. It was just mind-blowing, and I feel like for Pixar's first movie, they really struck it hard on the nail, and you could see it worked on so many levels. Toy Story is by far one of my most cherished childhood movies, but also one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm sorry I couldn't get the original 94 trailer. I just couldn't find it anywhere. I mean, it was there, but like, it was hard to get a grasp of it. So you'll just have to stick with the 2019 trailer. But Lion King. Oh my god, Lion King. The visuals are breathtaking. The animation is spectacular. The characters are so good. And Mufasa's death made thousands of children around the world cry. Man, this movie was good. The story was nice, and it was just dripping with originality. Disney went all out with this movie. They researched on everything. Even that Nazimenya song was even in Swahili. Like, bro, Lion King was just a treasure for me when I was young. I remember I would watch it countless times, and I would still enjoy it. It was such a good movie. And now Disney's trying to milk my nostalgia by bringing it back this year. Obviously, you know I'm gonna go see it. But wow, for anyone who's interested in Lion King, watch the original one first before you show your kid this one. It's a really good way to introduce them to this amazing world that was open to us of the African plains. And if you are going to see the Lion King 2019, I won't stop you. It looks to be really promising, and I really just hope it's a really good reboot. You know, it's just funny how my number 1 most cherished childhood movie is also my favorite movie of all time. Yes, Finding Nemo is my most favorite movie of all time. This movie made me feel like I was part of the ocean. The drama, the tension. I just felt like everything around every corner was going to kill you. But this movie dealt with a lot of hard things. It dealt with death, it dealt with family, and it has a good message about family. It was just a good movie. It was all around spectacular. Finding Nemo just had great animation, especially for its time, and I loved it when they brought it back to 3D. Yes, I went to go see it in the 3D version. This movie again. This movie was just so perfect. The characters were great. Marlon and Dory were amazing. Marlon's like my favorite character so far, and he's just a perfect father figure. I mean, he does have to learn his lesson by the end, but he really does care for his son, and the chemistry between characters is just so amazing. I loved this movie. It's my favorite movie of all time and my favorite Pixar movie, and it's just so gosh darn beautiful. Why don't they make more movies like this? This movie made my childhood, and it made me addicted to the ocean. I almost I almost did a course on marine biology because of this, but like yeah bro, like the ocean is just a nice place, and honestly I wouldn't mind if I just lived there with them. So anyways guys, this will do it for my top 10 most cherished childhood animated movies. I hope you enjoyed my list. Some of these movies really were bad, but a lot of them I did enjoy them as a kid, and it's amazing how my childhood innocence just carries on into, you know, my older self. And I really do love most of the movies on this list, and I feel that if I get a kid in the future, or if you guys have kids as well, you show them the masterpiece of what happened in the past. You show them the masterpiece of how people sweat and cried in order for our entertainment. And I just hope they appreciate it the same way my generation, your generation, and other generations did. This has been Captain Phoenix, and I will see you in another universe.